Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Your computer will show you that this got you started.
You don't have your agenda?
Let me get into that. I do. Good evening, everybody. I'm just called to order the meeting of the Exeter Planning Board for November 20th, 2025. My name's Aaron Brown. I'm the vice chair. I'm acting as chair tonight as our chairperson, Lang Plummer, is on the mend from a minor procedure. So if we could start with my far left with introductions, Jennifer.
Jen Martell.
Sam McLeod.
Marty Kennedy.
John Gruder?
Dean Hubbard.
Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
All right. Let's start with the approval of the minutes from November 6, 2025. Somebody wants to read edits that they have?
I don't think I had anything.
Got any?
Sorry, I have one minor.
Go for it.
Sorry, I have notes all over, so bear with me, just to remind me about something for tonight. So on page 2 of 9, sorry, glasses, line 75, it has he, it's he. I'll do it minor. And then just on page 4 of 9, on line 131, it says, Ms. Belanger addressing the public's concerns recommended coming to the select board. It was to express, so that they could express their concerns. We had a lot of public comment that night. That was beyond the application, who were expressing their concerns. So what I said to them was to come to the select board to express their concerns during the public comment. I just wanted to make that clear. And it was not because the master plan, and I reminded them that the master plan update was coming in the near future. And that's it for me.
Anybody else?
I have something. And this is on line 202. And I just, because there was a denial here, I want to make sure we get the language right. So it's just, generally it says what I said, but I want to clarify. So what I'm going to do is just, I'll run through the sentence and putting in where I'm deleting and when I'm inserting, and then I'll come back and read the complete sentence the way it should read. But in line 202, let's see, delete morning peak, and I would insert applicant's estimate. And then further along, I would delete and the before unrealistic and insert in the AM peak hour as unrealistic. And I would put a period at the end of unrealistic. At the beginning of the next sentence, I would insert he expects the before the word demand. And I would delete the words that would put on and insert the words to be substantially higher, period, much of the demand would be served by, and then it would go on to say the bank spaces. I would remove the word and insert resulting in, and then it would read the overall intensity of the use with pedestrians walking behind cars pulling out of those 7 spaces. And I would delete and the vehicle trips on the site with as problematic. So I'll read the whole sentence for you. I would say it should say, he questioned the applicant's estimate of 2 cars in and 2 cars going out in the AM peak hour as unrealistic. He expects the demand to be substantially higher. Much of the demand would be served by the bank's parking lot, resulting in the overall intensity of use with pedestrians walking behind cars pulling out of those 7 spaces as problematic. And then I would, and I tried to do the same thing for the last 2 sentences, but I had trouble deleting and inserting.
You just delete it and add a new one.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So from on line 204.
Just read the new sentence, Marty.
Yeah.
Don't muck through the other one.
The new sentence would say, he referenced the applicant's use of ITE trip generation land use code strip retail was not appropriate for a coffee shop. He noted that the more appropriate ITE trip generation land use code coffee shop estimates approximately 104 trips in the AM peak hour, 52 entering and 52 exiting, period. And then the next sentence would read, this level of vehicle traffic interspersed with pedestrian crossings is the opposite of what the MUND intends to accomplish. And then it could finish off, he noted that he can't support the application.
So did you pull that off the tape?
No, it's not word for word on the tape.
But you feel like it's the spirit of
It's word
what
for
you were
word what I
saying? A little
would have
closer?
said. Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do when you have that much is just start over. But that is a really important paragraph in that hearing. The factory recording, we have the tape, though, is the thing people generally reference. But it's good to have it consistent. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just one very small thing. On lines 12 and 17, my name is misspelled. It's a small thing,
That's
I
not a
know.
small thing.
Nope.
That's big.
But my name should be
You're
spelled.
just an alternate.
Well, I know. That's why I told you. It's a small thing. It should be spelled M-A-C. And normally I wouldn't say anything, but people have been trying to make me Irish and Catholic my whole life.
I don't want that.
Okay.
That's funny. Aaron gets misspelled quite often, too, so I feel your pain. Jen, anything?
Got nothing.
Nothing? Hey, John?
I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, good. All right, and I'm looking for a motion.
I move the meeting minutes of November 6, 2025, as amended. Be approved. I missed my motion there, but that's all right. You know what I mean.
I'll second.
It's been a long day. And Jen, did you just?
Jen just
I did
seconded.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All right, let's just do vote by voice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Passes.
Mr. Chairman, quick question. Do you need to activate Dean and I for that?
Yeah, I
vote?
probably should. Let's activate you guys. So
Okay.
we have a full board of 7. Let's just do that vote again. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, all right, 7-0. Oh, 6-0-1, sorry, John. You can vote, you know.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
We always have that discussion.
That's right. People don't believe it, though.
I know. They don't.
If it was 3-3, I would have voted.
It was close. All right, so we have a light agenda this evening, although important business. There's no new business for hearings, so we're holding an administrative work session for the purpose of discussing potential zoning amendments proposed for the 2026 town warrant. So in your packets, everybody should have stuff from the town. In addition, we have a citizen who sent an email who's here this evening, Ben Hodgson. I know him and his family quite well personally. In the interest of full disclosure, John and I went to high school together, college together. Christine and I were in school together, all of us, and the fruit of their labor has sent this petition to the town. In fact, I've been on this board, I think I found the book, and I think it's at least 10 years, which horrifies me. It's the first time I think we ever had this amount of material from a citizen, so I don't know if I should thank you or... I jest, though. It's great to have people get involved. It's important to have people get involved and bring in a different perspective. Especially a younger perspective, I think, is always helpful, especially when you're talking about affordable housing, because I think your generation has a hard time affording to stay in this town, even though you grew up here, and that's not great. So we have 2 ways we can go as a board on this, and I'm looking for guidance from you folks. Do you want to go with the citizen involved piece first, or second? Do you have a preference?
I believe it would be more respectful to address the citizens' concerns first.
That's my.
I agree too.
Yeah, and then they have the option of listening to the rest of what is on the proposals or not, right?
Right.
That's fine.
You guys feel good about that?
Sure.
Okay. So Mr. Hodgson sent out an email. Barbara forwarded that to us. I hope everybody has had a chance to look at it, because there's actually more in that than there was in the thing from the town. So if you're going to try to read that for the first time this evening, you're going to be catching up.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'm going to let Ben go to the podium, introduce yourself, your address, and then just kind of walk us through, Ben, if you'd like.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ben Hodgson, 41 McKay Drive. I'm a local civil engineer and member of an advocacy group called Strongtown Seacoast. Silas is also here, who's a part of that group to support. And the group kind of helped me formulate some of the stuff that I brought forward with regards to the proposed zoning amendments. I'll first touch on the maximum parking that we proposed. So essentially, revising the ordinance from what we have now, which is parking requirements, to parking maximum requirements, would simply mean that owners and developers could provide up to the current parking standard that exists today. So you know, for an example, developer comes into town, they want to put up condos, and as of right now, they're required 2 spaces per unit. I know the state changed that, but that's what it was before. Essentially, they could provide 0 spaces, they could provide 1 space, they could do a ratio 1.5 spaces per unit, up to the current 2 spaces. If they want to go over that, they would need a waiver from the board. So it's essentially opposite of what we have now, where if you want to provide under the required parking, you need a waiver for that, or you go to the TAC and you make the case that you don't need that much. This is making the case that you would need more than the maximum. And essentially my thought behind this is parking holds back a lot of opportunities for housing. It takes up a lot of space. It limits the areas for building on a lot. Open space, green space, it takes up a lot of space when someone comes in and wants to put in a development. It's expensive to build and maintain. It costs between $5,000 and $50,000 per parking space. They spread our destinations out further within town, and it sort of creates a bad feedback loop of you build a building, you provide the parking for that building, but the more parking you provide, the further apart your destinations become, which means you're going to want to drive, which means you're going to need more parking. And so it kind of spirals down that way of saying, look, if we provide too much, our destinations are going to be so far apart that the parking lots are going to continue to get bigger. And really the idea is just bringing destinations closer together, put the parking behind the building, limit the amount we provide, or dedicate, commercial space, dedicate it to the street, instead of providing off-street parking. All the while, when you spread your destinations out further, it's more cost to the taxpayer because you have to expand your road system. You have to expand your utilities, pipes, pumps, sidewalks. You have to separate everything more. And the longer those pipes become, the longer the roads become, that's more expense down the road with regards to maintenance by the town. Every 10 years, you got to resurface the road, you got to replace pipes, you got to replace your sewer pumps and all that stuff. So by limiting our expanse of parking, we can sort of bring back down that cost in the future to our taxpayers. In this section, I also included bike parking requirements.
So, Ben, can I hold off for one
Sure,
sec?
of course.
The intent of this hearing is to have a work session.
Okay.
So it's probably good to handle one at a time.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
So like,
yeah.
I would suggest that we discuss as a board and with you and members of the public, the maximum parking
Sure.
concept before we jump into bikes.
Yeah, no problem.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep, definitely.
So I think it's definitely throws things reversed of what we see. In fact, I'm not sure if you were caught it or not, but we defeated a proposal where the dry cleaner is on Portsmouth
Yeah, I
Ave.
did. I watched that.
Did you watch that?
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
parking is why. That was the primary reason. I think that there were other ones listed in the defeat as well, being Spirited Nature, the MUND as well, and it's supposed to be, I felt the parking should have been behind the building and all that. But the parking was probably the nail in the coffin, I would say, for that.
Yeah, but if he didn't have the coffee shop part of that, then parking wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
You know, he could have done a little out front and on the back, but
Yeah.
whatever.
And that's a place where there's egress issues, and it's a long hearing, but,
Yeah, we don't-
but there's a lot of pavement out there, let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
so it's interesting, and I've been in the industry since 1996, and I have seen density and parking generally limit size and scope of projects, commercial or residential. So the automobile definitely is a big player. I know for myself, I think it's most challenging in our beautiful downtown because I think the downtown was done obviously before there were automobiles, and you can tell that it catered to the automobile pretty heavily at when it became prevalent means of transportation, and it remains to this day, and I think it really detracts from the utility and beauty of our downtown, where if it was secondary, it would be pretty phenomenal if that went to other means of transportation, walking primarily. So I think it's interesting, and it's a very challenging concept. Anybody else have any thoughts they want to?
Yeah. People aren't getting rid of cars, right?
Right.
They're getting more cars. Still, you got to buy the 16-year-old a car. I mean, you have to have parking.
Yeah.
If you're building something, I'm not. A lot of people won't buy because there won't be parking. Right? It works both ways.
Right. And
And
I guess what I'm
there's no
saying
alternative in town. As there's not a subway system or something. I know they're building some, high-rise condos and stuff without parking in big cities, but they have public transportation all over the place, and then they have to find someplace else to park their cars, which is, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and I guess basically what I'm saying is I'm not trying to make it so we don't have parking anymore. This is basically just to say you can provide up to our requirement now, but if you want to do something creative in a new development, maybe you want to only provide one space like the MUND, you can do that as well. So it's just expanding our opportunities here for different types of housing and the way we look at certain stuff like that. Especially, if you're near the train station, you have commuters, maybe people don't want to have a car. Maybe they want to, or maybe you have a family and there's only one car per household. This just expands kind of the opportunity for that, as opposed to requiring the minimum parking that we have now.
And if you don't put in fewer parking spots, you're probably going to try to put in another couple of units too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there'll be even less parking. And then, I think you said something about, it keeps, other construction, maybe it sets it back a little bit because it's not taking up as much room. I didn't quite understand that.
So, do you mean the kind of feedback loop of where the parking kind of separates the uses, and then when you're separating your uses, you're creating an environment where people would prefer to drive. And so when you create that environment, then it forces more parking, right? So you're, like, when you're spreading places further and further apart, because of the parking, you're gonna need more parking because people will wanna drive, as opposed to walk between destinations that are closer together.
That other property will get filled up one way or the other. You know, as the town grows, or, you know, any area. No.
He's giving you the business.
Yeah. Getting-
Yeah.
John has a lot of experience with projects
I had,
down in Florida.
yeah, and here,
Yeah.
I managed a property in Londonderry from '79 to 2002, and every chance I got when we did resurfacing, I added parking spaces because it was such a headache. The builder did too, but these were maybe a little larger condos, so that, you know, all of a sudden we have teenagers, and they have to have a car, you know, all of a sudden it was a nightmare. So I just started making the parking lots bigger, which is not what you want, but they had enough green space built into the property because it was just spread out a little bit. They had leach fields and stuff, and we had to work around. So, and then in Florida, it was kind of similar. People, why didn't they make more parking? You know, and what do you mean we can't park in the street? So it was just always a battle. And of course, the developer didn't want to develop more parking because he wanted more houses to make more money. You know, they were all the same. All right, I'm done.
I've read through all this. I thought you laid out a nice argument. I think municipalities for years have always required too much parking. Municipalities should do more shared parking. The switching from minimal parking to maximum parking is a big change, and it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I think we need to really think about it. But I think we do need to do a lot better job of utilizing shared parking and not always thinking about every use has to have a minimum requirement, because when you add them all up, you end up with too much pavement, and we should try to avoid that. And what this does, and this is a kind of a new philosophy of saying, okay, well, you shouldn't be looking at minimums, you should be looking at maximums. And I think there's something to be said for that. But we need to be very careful in going over it. So I think it's worth our discussing
Right.
more in the future.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm ignorant to where parking requirements really originated, but I would imagine it came from planning and figuring out general needs, and probably more similar to what you're talking about.
Buyers complaining.
Yeah, exactly. That there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Now, I do think, although this board, I do think we do a pretty good job of working within the parameters that we have of allowing phased. A lot of times we approve parking, which is required in a project, but we don't require it to be built. We have it put on a plan and allow them to phase it if they find like they need it, it's already approved. I try to do it that way, so they don't have to come back here. They don't have to go back through all the gyrations just to get parking again. They already have it approved, they don't have to build it. So it's almost like a secondary parking opportunity if they find they need it. And some of the projects that have been approved while I've been here have done that successfully, which is nice. I don't think anybody on this board is looking for more impervious surface. I think we fight that consistently, trying to have more, less pavement. We talk about it, I think, at almost every hearing. The parking requirement, I do think we're pretty good that way, that we try to work with the realistic use that we expect out of what is in front of us for an approval. I would have concerns, to be frank, about a minimum. I mean, I think the state's pushing stuff at us that is good, but also can get a little, not a high requirement, frankly. One spot for a single-family house to me is pretty limited. I don't think I've ever been in that position where I've had one vehicle in front of a dwelling that I've been living in.
No.
So it's just sort of part of the reality of our lifestyles. And I do think John brings up a good point. Unfortunately, we don't have great public transportation in our area that's really convenient, and I think convenience is a big part of it. Taking the train into Boston's great, but you got to be working on that schedule, and that can work for some people, but it's not going to Portsmouth. It's not, most people aren't willing to sacrifice the amount of time necessary to use a bus around here. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts over here?
Well, I can throw a few things out. I was born here too. I've lived here my entire life to this point. I live here, but I work out of town. There is no other way for me to get to my job in Portsmouth other than to drive. So I understand we really do need to find a way to do better. But the reality is we really don't have public transportation. I know others have said it, but it's important. We just don't have really any. When I was a kid growing up, we had 3 taxi services in town. I think someone told me we have 1.
Uber.
I don't know about that in town right now either. So anyway, my concern is there are some areas of town where this is not going to work as far as if we're going to keep pushing cars on the streets, on the sides of the road. We're trying to do bike and pedestrian planning. Downtown, it's going to have to be a road share because there's no way to add a bike path downtown. It's too narrow. Epping Road, you live off of Epping Road. There's a push to put a bike path there, but we're running into some problems where we would actually have to take land to do that. We don't want to do that. So we're struggling with adding bike and pedestrian to make our community more user-friendly for that. At the same time, we can't forget that there are people who live here that have to work to stay living here, and they need to be able to have a place to park their car. I fortunately live in a mixed-use environment where I have a designated place to park, and when the businesses are open, I have an alternative place to park. So I am a big proponent of mixed use because I live it and I see how it can work. I do worry about line of sight. We're pushing more cars on the sides of the road. So I am worried about safety. And if you'll bear with me just one moment, the purpose, it says authority and purpose of the zoning ordinance. The purpose of the Exeter zoning ordinance are to lessen congestion in the streets, secure safety from fires, panic, and other dangers, to promote health and general welfare, and to provide adequate light and air, to prevent overcrowding of the land, to avoid undue concentration of population, to facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewer, schools, parks, and other public requirements. So let's just throw that into the mix of trying to find a balance. And I think that's what we're all searching to do. Because I am all for affordable housing. Our master plan supports affordable housing. Our master plan supports bike and pedestrian. And there's no easy answer, but I think if we all put our heads together, we could hopefully find some solutions.
Comments? Thanks, Nancy.
Okay. So I really appreciate you putting this together and bringing this to the board, because I'm happy that we're having this conversation. I'm really intrigued by the idea of parking maximums. I'd be curious to hear about other towns where this has been implemented and sort of success stories or challenges they've had, so that we might know what the implications that this might have in reality. I mean, I can sort of imagine, just based on my experience here in the planning board, there have been projects brought in front of us where the parking seems egregious and it's taking over green space, and it's frustrating that we don't have anything they don't have to ask for a waiver for that. They can provide the 4 spaces for a 2-bedroom townhouse because they can, because it's easier to plow it that way, or whatever the reason is, I like the idea that the maximum is 2, and if you want more, you need to ask for a waiver, and you need to justify getting the more. I like the default being what our numbers are, and I really don't see, like, I don't think this proposal is for like a reduction in parking. It's literally just the amount of parking is the max, not the minimum. I think that it would also help for, I mean, we don't have a ton of commercial that aren't mixed use projects that come to us, but, you know, there have been some where the parking seems excessive, and I know businesses like to have a lot of empty parking spaces in front of their business because it makes it more welcoming to people in cars, but, you know, I think also what would be good for business would be to maybe have more trees in their parking lot, so, and I think that would be better for the environment and overall health of our town, so, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I would love to continue to think about it and maybe go back and forth on it and wordsmith it in a way that everyone's comfortable with, but I definitely wouldn't want to just write this off and say, we're done talking about it tonight.
I think your point about what other towns have done or doing, my guess, I don't know this for sure, but I think most of the New Hampshire communities haven't gone this way yet, but there's a lot of discussion about this. We need to go this way.
No one wants to be the first.
And so it's a matter of who's going to be first and type of thing. I think we should discuss it more and consider it, but I don't know that there are that many communities who are there yet. Okay? Anything different than that?
I will say Portsmouth has parking maximums, but they also have parking minimums. So it's like you have to fit in between the minimum and the maximum there, which to me, it's a little weird, but that's what they do. So
I think there's also a little bit of a generational thing where most older folks are not used to the minimum, and you'll see more of the younger generation are saying, well, does that really make sense? Why aren't you making it a maximum? And I see a lot of that too.
I do think it's been used, in my experience, parking requirements have been used to limit development, period. I mean, when someone talks to me about looking at a piece of raw land to develop, it's one of the first calculations you do. How much parking is required? And that's, I mean, it falls down to that, which I think, if I'm right, Ben, in interpreting your proposal or your discussion here, is ultimately, I think your purpose is more about creating more housing opportunities and limiting automobile opportunities, correct?
yeah.
So, to me, you know, that is, the pitch of it is, you know, it's a way to allow the land to be utilized differently. So I'm not certain that it necessarily means there's gonna be more trees. I think there'd be more housing, just what I'm interpreting. And I do think, as a result, John hit that on the head too. If they're not required to make it parking, they're gonna want more units. I think that is part of it, which I don't know that it's up to us to say whether they should or shouldn't have those, but I do think it is up to us to recognize there is housing needs in our community that aren't being met, right? We all see that, but it's not unique to Exeter, New Hampshire, but it is real.
And then the problem becomes the towns because they're out in the street,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
taking up spaces and, okay.
I mean, I think
have to
the
think
original
about-
intention of parking requirements, just how all communities have always done it, is if you have a development, it needs to accommodate all its needs.
Be self-contained.
Within here.
Yeah.
And you can't impact anything, and that ignores the idea of shared parking.
Right.
And that there is the possibility of parking on street, or parking in a nearby municipal lot, or considering that there's a business next door and a residential next to each other, and the parking demands are at different times of the day, all of that. And so I think that's where that's just sort of getting at, is a little bit more of thinking in terms of shared parking as opposed
Yeah.
to your own. Everybody has to have their own parking requirements isolated on their lot.
Right.
Other than downtown, do we have any options? I mean, anytime we would have shared parking, where else could we have it in town? Portsmouth Ave maybe, but
You
Yeah.
know,
We have a lot of opportunities, or there's none that really exist now. That
yeah, but again, what's
you
going
have
to
to
be
have
the
a
future?
developer that was interested in doing both, and then it would be smart on his part, because then he wouldn't have to, do as much paving.
I think what this town is going to see more of is, at this stage, redevelopment. And that's where I think we're going to be, this board will be challenged with, similar to project we approved off of Portsmouth Ave that butted up to the neighborhood behind it, right? I mean, where
Yeah.
you've got things that aren't the same next to each other now. And I think you're going to see that more and more, because the zoning is loosening up to allow more density, and you're going to see, I think, more units per existing lots in the future. Accessory dwelling units obviously are going to become bigger and bigger.
I mean, and we did the theater, Ioka now,
Right.
and there's no parking.
Right.
And if you remember when the park property, they wanted to build an apartment building and not have any parking either, use the municipal parking lot, which makes some sense, because that's probably not nearly as crowded as it is in the daytime. But I don't know how that works. The more rural you are, What do you share it with?
Well, we have some projects coming up on Portsmouth Ave. We have to relook at our water facility out there, down there. So it's good to have these conversations now, because
Yeah.
if we're looking to move where that facility is, the town owns that property, what can we do to with that
Right.
property? But it's gonna take a lot of conversations and looking to see what fits with us, and so we can plan for the future. That's why we're trying to extend our sidewalks and make them 8 feet.
Right.
Right, and not.
Yeah, that would be
Right,
a big
instead
part
of-
of it.
I know we have the waiver ability, but when we start doing that, we're gonna have sidewalks that, yeah, so, ADA, things like that. So anyway, I'm really glad you pulled this together. I know we're not done, but I did want to say that.
But
Thank you.
you've started us thinking about it.
You starting the conversation
Yeah.
is really important. First
Yeah.
steps.
That was really the goal, I guess, is to just bring stuff forward and get people talking about it, really. I wasn't looking for approvals or anything, just more conversation.
Yeah, nothing
than
gets
anything
approved
else.
that quickly. We have to really vet things and have conversations, like I said, but we have to start somewhere, and I'm hoping this is the start.
Do you want to move forward to the,
Yeah,
Sure.
the bicycle.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess just based on our town master plan and the bicycle and pedestrian master plan that we have, the residents in town are kind of demanding better pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, or so it seems to me at least. The section that I propose is, I sort of based it off of what Portsmouth has, because they have bicycle parking requirements. I changed it around a little bit. But it would mandate developers or property owners to provide bike parking for residents or commercial users. I live, like I mentioned before, I live out at Concord Pond. There's 96 units. We have no bike parking, no bike racks, nothing. So people there will store their bikes either on their relatively small balconies. They'll tie them up to trees and light poles and other random things, or they'll keep them in their cars because there's really no place to put them. And we've actually, I think, if I remember correctly, there were police out there one time for a bike that was stolen out there. And so a provision I kind of included in there was, if you're over a certain number of units, say for a big apartment complex like mine, you have to provide some form of covered bicycle parking area, perhaps an enclosure. It's not a huge extra cost to developers that are spending millions and millions of dollars to build these projects, to just add, minimal room for bicycle storage for the people living there. And if, as a town, that's the road we want to go down of, you know, becoming a safer community for people biking, I think this is a good start for that.
I'm not being rude. I was just texting our chair of the select board because he's going to talk to our interim town manager. And we used to have bike racks downtown, and I don't know where they are. So so I'm sorry, I don't usually text during, when someone's
okay.
talking or during a meeting, but I added to his list to ask what happened to where our bike racks are.
I think this is 100% necessary, personally. I think it's part of the MUND, right?
It is the
Yeah.
one, because that's,
The MUND's definitely ahead of our regular zoning, because that's kind of like the halfway step
yeah.
towards radical change
I
and
think
an
the
area
MUN's
where
like
it's
a pilot,
opportunity.
like
It
a
is
pilot
almost. It
program,
almost
right?
is,
To
yeah.
see how it worked and.
It definitely is. And that was something that in our the case we were just referencing that didn't go through, but was part of it. It was accommodated there. And it was interesting how much discussion we had to have about positioning the bike rack so it wasn't going to get hit by a
Well,
car door
yeah,
and all kinds of silly stuff.
Unfortunately, the MUN doesn't actually say, it's not as clear as this, one space per unit,
Yeah.
and how much you need. It was
Right.
just like, you must provide bicycle facilities.
Yeah.
So they were like,
Yeah.
this is where the bike rack is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's like a tiny little square.
So
It's a little disappointing to hear how unprogressive some property owners are, though, because where you are, 100% makes sense. And there's an awful lot of land over there as well.
Trust me, I've been pushing for a while
Yeah.
to get bike racks out there, and they don't respond to me. I've sent emails,
You gotta just
texts.
put them out, gorilla bike racks.
Yeah, I know.
Could you describe what you're thinking when you're saying shelter with a cover or roof?
Yeah,
What
so-
kind of structure are we talking
I
about?
guess it's kind of hard to describe, but I'm trying to think.
You can pull up a picture.
It's like a carport concept?
Kind of, you know, something. It could be anything really, just as long as it's sheltered from
Yeah.
rain or snow, and there's a way to lock your bike up
Yeah.
within it. Sometimes there are like cages with just a roof over it,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's like kind of if you have a shed like where you put
Right.
the bike up against the wall, kind of
Yeah.
something like that.
Kind of looks like a
Um,
bus stop,
Yeah, like a bus stop.
like a little.
Yeah.
something with a roof.
Yeah. I think I know what you're.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean,
something
you
like
can,
that.
you can get very fancy with them, but.
You see stuff like that on college campuses a lot.
Reed's Ferry.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reed's Ferry,
yeah.
that's the little buildings.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's pretty non-controversial. Also, I think I'm not certain about the downtown stuff because I don't know, that one could get tricky, but
The thing with downtown is very scary.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen, I cringe on a Saturday morning, some guy's got his two kids, 6-year-old kids riding their own bikes in back of them, and it's like, you're nuts.
oh, I know.
And
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, but this isn't about bike infrastructure, this is just about a place to put your bike.
Right.
No, I understand that, but if you didn't ride to downtown, you would need a place to put it.
But I think Nancy's on that one for downtown. I think
Just-
town
well,
usually handles
we
that.
did have some.
Yeah.
We definitely did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a rack in front of this building.
I would think
And
that's
if
the
you-
town's
so-
responsibility.
I do too.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Put
the bike racks in downtown.
I'll
Yeah.
follow up with you
Okay, good.
one night.
So if you want to rattle someone's cage, start rattling your town on that one. Because I think the downtown area,
Meeting Monday night, come to public comment.
yeah,
Is that
seriously.
the Swayze Park one? Or is
No, the select board.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, no, that Swayze Park was yesterday at 4. On video, if you want to watch it.
Okay.
I
But
think-
yeah, we have a select board meeting Monday night at 7. So as
Jennifer?
long as the pedestrian and bike
Is it
thing
one in the
isn't
new park?
on the agenda, I haven't seen it yet.
The
I
bike
see it when
rack
the
going
public
in the
sees
new
it. But
park? Why not?
come to public comment at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Because there's one's downtown.
Yeah. Can I just add one more thing about the bike pedestrian? I understand people want it, and we're working on it, but some things we have to kind of hold off on because we're waiting for grants. it really helps to keep people's taxes down when we're trying to do improvements like that, and we qualify for grants, and sometimes it takes a little while. So sometimes it's not as quick as we all would like.
I don't want to tell too
Yeah.
much about what we're doing because it's kind of still in the works. But
Okay.
our group out of Exeter, Silas and I, and actually my mom's part of it too. But we're working, I think you've talked with DPW, right, about just putting together some tactical urbanism for
Okay.
bike lanes and safer crosswalks and stuff like that. Just providing some temporary infrastructure around some crosswalks, potentially adding in some posts along shoulders for bike
Yeah,
lanes
great.
to make things safer. So
So,
we're working on that a little bit
I'm
too.
sure we'll hear about it at the select board level but yeah. So we have to think about the costs too, so.
And on that note, Marty, what's our agenda for the Master Plan Oversight Committee meeting?
We got the next meeting's on the 4th, and actually, Scott is setting up, did you get an invite? He invited me to, we're having, let's see, there's a focus group discussion that's gonna happen, I think in the next week or two. Starting going over, this is a draft policy guidelines for complete streets that's the town's working on.
There you go. Can I ask you to,
We've been working on that for well over a
December
year.
4th is your meeting?
December
Yeah.
4th,
Yes.
What time in the morning?
8
Yeah,
a.m.
Oh,
We're at
good. I'm
8:15.
just, the festival.
No, we meet
You-
early.
Yeah, no, it's
wouldn't be.
first thing in the morning.
That's a public
We'll
hearing,
be out of here.
8 a.m. here. Public are welcome. And we've been discussing complete streets for well over 2 years, probably. And we have the Rockingham Planning Commission kind of leading the charge. We lost a little momentum due to some changes internally in the town, but it's been pretty worthwhile, and it does take time. But it is not just obviously Exeter connecting to the bigger community of the Seacoast. And that's definitely really happening. And we're looking at grants, yeah. So we've been doing a lot of work on that. And you're welcome to come. And you can also see those hearings online, too, if you want to
Okay.
catch up. But that is a public hearing, so. Sometimes you get people from the public. It's not that common, but it's usually pretty worthwhile when people show up, so.
Yeah.
Try to keep it to an hour. It's a tough time of day because it's early. It's kind
Yeah,
of during the work day.
I'm thinking I'd start work at 8. So.
Yeah, I know, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, but at least you can watch them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
listen to the conversation, so
Right.
you're up to date on where things are at. So when you do your presentation to whomever, you'll know what we've already done, so.
And you can connect offline on that stuff too. Like you can reach out to people on that committee or this board as a citizen also, so that you can get your input, represented. Because we're making a lot of progress there. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
we're finally getting there. So our goal, I think, is like January, February
Yeah,
to be coming
early
forward.
next year, we're trying to get the draft wrapped up.
Right.
Great.
Then the hard part comes, finding the money.
Implementation is always.
That's true.
Well, we have to have the plan,
Exactly.
Yeah.
First.
And you can't ask for the money if you
and
don't know
then
what it's
decide if we
for.
need seed money
Right.
to qualify, if it's needed for grants, right? It's the process. That's why it doesn't happen quickly sometimes.
A lot of it is getting modeled after Portsmouth, though. Portsmouth is definitely, I think, ahead, at least that I've seen in the Seacoast. They've done some stuff, I think, mixed results, but
Yeah.
they're definitely trying different things. And they've obviously had a tremendous amount of growth, too.
Yeah.
This city doesn't look like it did when I lived there.
No, they need to put a stop to it. They're ruining it.
You should take a look at Dover too. Dover's done
True.
a
Good
lot of really
point.
great complete
They really
street
have.
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah, they really
Silver
have.
Street is really nice.
Yeah, good point, John.
Hi, folks. My name is Silas Richards. I live on Lincoln Street. Thank you, folks, for having this meaningful conversation.
Sure.
I just want to make a quick note on the bicycle parking mandate. I totally understand Ms. Belander's remarks that change takes time, but the changes that we're talking about, especially in terms of the bicycle and pedestrian master plan, is going to be a generational effort to change, right? So starting this process now is super important. I want to address John's comments about the danger of riding downtown. It is dangerous, but for people in this town, sometimes bicycle transit is their only means of transit. So we cannot just count them out of the conversation and say, oh, it's dangerous downtown. We don't need to design that, right? When it comes to bringing your children to school, right, we should be thinking about our designs and our future for a place where our children can safely ride their bikes to and from school, right? And that comes in all stages of design, right? We're building these rather large complexes on the edges of town, and we should be considering how are these school children going to be able to exercise their independence and travel in the summers, travel to school, and further reduce the amount of congestion and parking requirements in our downtown core. It is so common to hear that there's no traffic downtown. There's been a parking study, right? We all know that the utilization does not warrant a parking garage, right? But when we don't make it easy to own a bicycle in town, or we force our residents to put it outside and it gets rained on and then you have mechanical failures, we're just making it more and more car dependent. So thank you for having that conversation.
Yeah, just remember that we
Thank
are
you.
working. It's not like we haven't been, okay? I just want to make sure you understand that it does take some time and we are working on it, whether it's here or in facilities or wherever. We do listen, we have a master plan, and we follow it.
And I have driven my bike through town.
He does ride a bike,
He does
actually.
ride a bike.
He's an avid biker. But I want to say, have you ever seen the movie Up?
Yes.
Do you know the guy, the main character?
I haven't watched the movie again. I haven't
I
seen
don't
it since
remember
it
it.
came out.
He's changing, though. We're trying to have like a...
Okay. And I have to watch it again. I don't remember it. Oh, God.
My goal in life is not to become that guy. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm like, every time I turn into the old curmudgeon and I hear myself being an old curmudgeon, I'm like,
That's
don't
why,
be
though.
that guy,
You hear
Aaron.
yourself,
Don't be
that's
that
the goal.
guy.
You hear yourself and you do better. That's
Exactly.
it. Right? We all have to.
But John is an avid biker, and when he says that, he's actually saying that from a sincere place. I know he is, because we've had a lot of those conversations about trying to make it safe, and he's worked very hard on that. And then he's part of the master plan oversight committee that's been working
I mean,
over 2 years
I
for that.
love the new bike trails and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
they're great.
and I love biking on something like that. I just get, at my old age, I get more nervous on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
But that's me. You guys can do that.
No, but you
young.
bring up a good point, though. I mean, I was driving just the other day through a neighborhood, and it wasn't anything, there was a great sidewalk. And a young person had 2 children, they're overburdened, they have one barely learning how to ride a bike.
Right.
And they're not even on the sidewalk, they're in the road. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my
it's
God.
scary.
This kid wipes out in front of me.
Yeah.
I don't want to, so I'm like almost stopping as I go by him. But that's not, unfortunately, that's a human issue, not really a facility issue, right? So
Right.
can only do so much.
I just want to comment on that.
Sure.
Technically, it's illegal to bike on the sidewalk.
Yeah, well, when you're 2 years old, I would
Yeah.
hope
No,
that would be okay.
I understand. I'm just saying it is.
Show them your
I
badge.
think
Yeah.
if you're-
People
I think
do
if you're
it.
12 and under, it's legal. If you're over 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Because
downtown,
I looked that up
different, I
once.
think, right? Because
Yeah.
downtown, yes, it is, but
Yeah, in downtown.
skateboards, but in neighborhoods,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I think if you have an accident, that's probably mostly, I would guess that's probably mostly why. So the person on the bike's at fault, right? Just like you have to control your vehicle. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was just something where we definitely need to be working on that, and we are. But it's great, because you guys, the hardest part is, in terms of education and information, it's so dependent on you to get involved, to understand what is happening versus not knowing what's happening or not seeing anything change and being, hey, what is going on? You know, because we've worked hard to keep the master plan active. That's literally the committee I've been on, and we've gone through literally every item on that plan and had updates as to where we're at on each single item. But it's crazy how long it does take, because ultimately you do talk about funding, because otherwise it's just
Unfortunately, it is.
out there,
Yeah.
you know?
We have to weigh everything, so, yeah.
we do. That is, we're trying to get sidewalks all the way down 27, Ideally, would have been on both sides. I think we've done pretty well with that. We think we missed one, and that's a big deal to try to connect that whole exit right through to the downtown core.
Yeah.
Because Portsmouth Ave is pretty good about that. You've got good sidewalks on Portsmouth Ave. High Street has good sidewalks, but 27 doesn't, and that's a pretty heavy road, and there's a lot more residents out there than there used to be. And it seems like that's still an area of potential growth.
That's within reach, though, because a lot of it's done. That's
Right.
It is,
That's a
right.
good
And
one to work on
It is.
early.
that road was also underdeveloped for what, 25, 30 years?
Gosh, yeah.
Right, for a long time. So now that it's happened and we're developing it, it's being done with pedestrians
Right.
in mind, less curb cuts, less.
Right.
So, yes, but keep talking because we have to have the conversation and perspective and, yeah.
Next.
So with regard to the proposed 5.6.8 bicycle parking, I mean, it seems like everyone's kind of in agreement that that's a good thing that we should add to our code. So how do we
go from there?
Can we just do that?
I think,
don't know.
well, I mean, that's what this whole hearing is about,
Yeah.
is proposals that we, as a board, essentially wordsmith, and then it gets put out to the public for comment, and then it goes to the public for vote. So I think we have one more hearing like this.
Yeah, I think tonight's the one where we wordsmith and then
Usually.
the hearing is where we
Usually.
vote to put it on the
Exactly.
warrant.
Yeah, we usually don't do, I think there's something where it has to be noticed as it's going to be voted on. Isn't that the case where it has to be noticed as it's going to be voted on? So if we, at the second hearing, I don't think we can change anything word-wise.
So we need to figure out.
We
the
need to do it
wording.
now, yeah. I agree with Jen. I think this one is worth, does anybody oppose it from a concept, or should we
Or have
focus on?
changes to
Yeah,
how
should we
it's
focus
written?
on the wording? You guys okay with
One
it?
second, yeah,
In general, the concept?
yeah, I am, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just don't know where so it'd have to be wordsmith, but wouldn't town council need to look at to make sure we've dotted our i's and crossed our t's?
Oh, this wasn't just BS. All we're doing is
Well,
saying.
that's what, I
Yeah.
want to make sure these,
We're not voting on
Yeah.
putting it to the people. We're
Yeah.
voting on
recommending,
agreeing to the wording, and then it comes to another hearing,
okay.
just like the other ones we have to go through tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with the general concept. I'm thinking, I want a little bit more time,
Yeah.
one space for the first 3 units and, for every 5 units, just getting those numbers right.
Yeah.
That's all. And maybe those are that is the right.
Where did those come from?
My head.
Okay. Honest answer.
No, I mean, it's,
I'm glad you said your head, but.
yeah, I mean, really, Portsmouth, it's a little bit different how they structure theirs. I don't think they have they just do, it's like one for every 5 units and one for of residential, and then one for every 10 parking spaces.
Okay.
But I wanted to structure it more of, for commercial, it's per establishment.
Yeah.
And for residential, you're not forgetting about the first few units.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
smaller, more incremental developments, like you're still, giving them the bike parking that they need, and not, with Portsmouth, it would be if you have a triplex or, fourplex, you're only providing 1 bike parking space, but with this, you would provide 4. And then, once you get to a certain, number of bike parking spaces, once you get to a certain number of units, then the bike parking gets less. So in a 96 unit building like mine, you do 3 for the first 3 units, and then it's every 5 after that, is kind of how I had it set up.
And these wouldn't apply to places with garages, so.
Yeah, so I think what did I say? Yeah, I exempted single family, 2 family, accessory dwelling units, and then some of the more auto oriented oriented, like gasoline, car dealerships, warehouses, that kind of stuff that like people aren't really gonna be biking to those.
Yeah, we might want to exempt like the townhomes that have garages, because
Yeah.
you can
Why?
just put your bike in a garage.
Why would you put your bike outside to
Yeah.
get stolen if you have it in your garage?
Well, I mean, but wouldn't that count as accommodation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're
Then you-
providing bike parking? Yeah.
Yeah.
You might
So
not
maybe you
need
don't
as
need to
much
exempt.
outside. but-
Off-street parking for bikes shall be provided. So if off-street parking means it's in a garage, it's provided. I don't think you have to say
Yeah,
anything
no, that
more.
makes
You don't
sense.
have to do it, yeah. I don't know.
So it's just the wordsmithing part that will be a little bit
I mean, I'm just
of a
thinking,
challenge.
I think we should move ahead with this, but we shouldn't move ahead too quickly. So I'm thinking, can't we, our next workshop, come in prepared with finalized wordsmithing, and then if we have to go, then one more hearing to vote for it, do that.
Do we have time?
So,
What's the timing?
There's I think
There's a January
January
deadline, I think.
deadline. We might have an extra week.
I mean, I agree. I think to get through this tonight and the other stuff we have
Yeah.
probably isn't realistic in the time constraints,
can I throw out another example, though?
unless we kept it very simple.
I used to live in an apartment building, and the washer dryer, the laundry room is downstairs, but they also have a place where people can store their bikes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just think of that, too,
Right.
that was,
That's the ideal
yeah.
situation. is-
Yeah.
And I will say, the other part is, we are the planning board. If this doesn't go through, we can still be working for this when we see site plans, That's the good part about it, regardless, right? So, but the only way I see we could get something wordsmith this evening on this would be to keep it very, very simple.
Yeah.
Conceptual, almost. Maybe not as much of a requirement, but more of a concept for consideration. Do you know what I mean? I think getting down into the weeds on it is going to be tough at this point.
So again,
timing.
what's the process? We would need to,
Typically what happens is at this hearing,
yeah,
we determine what wording we are going to vote on
okay.
next hearing.
So our next December,
Whatever
December
one this
meeting,
is on, which I
yeah.
think is December. It has to be noticed again to the public,
okay.
and then we vote on what we're putting forward to the public for the hearing, for the town vote.
Okay, so we would need to do that in December because what's happening in January?
There's something about this,
Is it
the last time you have to
Yeah.
get
Last
it
time that
on.
there's
There's a
a deadline
deadline.
in January to get stuff onto the town warrant. I
Yeah.
don't know what
Right.
the
And
deadline
I
is.
don't have it in my calendar, I'm sorry, and I can't think of the date.
But we don't know whether we have another planning board meeting prior to
We
the,
usually only do this at 2 meetings. I mean, I don't ever remember doing it at more.
But if we needed another meeting, we could call one.
We could,
Yeah.
we could. I mean, it wouldn't have to be a long one either.
I'm just, for myself, I'd like to think about this.
Yeah.
Check a few things.
Yep.
And I'd probably come back and say, yeah, I like the language, but I'd like to be, I don't want to come back next.
All right, so the challenge that we have in that regard, I think Marty's right, but the challenge we have, we can't meet outside of here as a board. It's illegal for us to meet outside of a public hearing and do this stuff. So that's the challenge that we face. We can do it individually, bring it together.
Or if you want to try rewriting it based on what you've heard
Yeah.
from us,
You can do that also.
help us out in that.
I think the board is very open to this idea, and I think it's a great requirement, and it would work towards what you're trying to accomplish in general.
So, I guess with that being said, would it be better for me to kind of simplify it?
I think if it's simple and flexible,
Yeah.
I think it makes it easier for us to deal with as a board.
Okay.
Because when, as you know, in the engineering world, when someone comes forward with an application or looking to do something, they're looking at what am I required to do? We try to be pretty specific to make it so it's not a big guessing game for the applicant. But at the same time, when you're putting a new concept in there, it's tough to get it right perfect the first time. That's why we do zoning amendments every year. So you could start simple and then next year even modify it, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
attempt to, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not unusual to have that.
Yeah, I think simplify, but not quite as simple as our Mund, because that's too simple.
Yeah.
I think we need to say something more than just you must provide bicycle facilities. I like the requirement for covered if it's like more than a certain amount outdoors. I think the requirement for commercial seems good. It's like pretty general. It's like per business rather than like, I've seen
Yeah.
some that are like per 1,000 square feet or whatever, 10,000 square feet. I think it'd be good to get a sense of like where the numbers are coming from and what that really means. Like I just did the quick math, like the gateways, I think was something like 240 units.
Yeah.
So that would be like 50 bike parking spaces. That's
Garage.
25 bike racks.
Yeah.
Which seems excessive for Epping Road. So just thinking about like the reality of that for where we're located, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's other ways to.
Yeah. I think I based the numbers off of Concord Pond units wise.
Okay.
And just work backwards, like I said, 96 units. If I count the first three, what makes sense that way?
Yeah. So how many bike racks would you say Colquitt Pond
I
probably
think it was like,
needs?
I think I got a number around 20
20.
spaces.
It seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot, but I don't know.
But
If
It's
that's-
not 20 bike racks, it's 20
20
spots for a
stalls,
bike, right?
So it would be,
Yeah.
They're 5 or 10, 6, 8 per rack, right?
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, so it's
you know,
not,
a couple,
Depending on the style,
couple of
yeah.
bike racks
right.
and
That doesn't seem crazy to me. I mean, if you had 96 units, that's
The bike racks,
180, 200 people living there probably?
Yeah.
the bike racks won't be the issue. I think having it somehow enclosed with a roof.
That's a challenge.
That gets,
Yeah.
once they start getting
Gets
bigger,
expensive.
it
Right.
becomes
It's
bigger.
expensive.
Agreed, yeah, that's much different.
Yeah.
The covered part is definitely more user-friendly, but more more difficult to,
But it,
And I think we should probably say something about the ground surface underneath it. That, I don't know if it says anything in here. I didn't see anything.
oh, I may have.
your bike parking in your garage.
Like, it should be some kind
Portsmouth
of-
has that.
We
It's
do.
like it should be in a fixed
Eight
location on the
places.
ground, concrete, like
we have bicycles.
bolted or something
Yeah,
like that.
like some kind of paved surface,
Yeah.
not just like grass or mud,
Storage should be-
because that can get.
They put them- no, there's not a lot of bikes.
So I asked this question at another meeting, and I can't remember the answer. These e-bikes that are getting more and more popular, do they fit into a regular bike rack?
they fit into the newer ones. They're
do.
designing them to accommodate
Right.
those, yeah.
And they have motors, right? So
Yeah, they're
I-
mini bikes, really.
Right, so I just would like to try to keep in mind of what would be underneath them for what's dripping in there. If people own them, we can't stop
They're
them
like
from buying them.
battery, aren't
They're
they?
battery.
I don't know.
They are. They're electric.
Only battery.
Don't ever- nothing
I don't
drips.
know, I've never.
They're
I've
electric, but
never
that doesn't
seen
mean
one.
somebody who couldn't park a mini bike there.
Nothing
actually,
drips,
right?
but it might catch on fire.
Yeah.
Well,
Battery.
yeah, all right, thank you for pointing that. I don't know, I've never been close enough to even see one. They
Go ahead.
fly down the road. So anyway, thank you.
I would just like to make the board aware that there are recommendations for bike racks that are universally accommodating.
Yep.
Unsure if we want to move that forward in this language, but I do want to speak to the importance of a covered bike rack, especially if this is someone's primary means of transportation. We all see what the elements do to our cars, right?
Yeah.
And I strongly encourage this board to keep the language in on a shelter or some type of roof.
Yeah.
And I agree that the cover is important. I'm just concerned with, again, the way we are requiring it for larger developments, and before you know it, we have this enormous structure that, you know, that.
Oh, you may have 2 or 3 smaller ones.
Well, I don't know.
It's a shed.
Yeah, go
It's
to,
a bike shed.
yeah. Reed's Ferry Shed.
I'm just saying, I also
mean,
think it should be
You got a
for,
development that's got 200 units, and before you know it, you've got this massive structure. And
You built, you have multiple.
And
Feel like a mini carport.
I don't know what it's going to be, but
But-
I think we just need to be careful what we're
Okay.
requiring.
But if you had that, whether you're renting your units out or selling them, it is a marketing thing, that, hey, we have a bike place, more and more people ask for that, so.
Yeah, to me, I think it's a good idea. I think having accommodating alternative means of transportation other than an automobile is, the more we accommodate it, there's only so much we can do, but the more we accommodate it, the more likely people are to utilize it. The easier it is to do, the more convenient it is, the more people will take advantage of that.
And I agree with the
You know what I
concept.
mean? But yeah, the devil
worrying
is
about the
always in the
details.
details,
Yeah.
yeah.
Build it and then they will come,
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah,
idea?
that's right. I always wanted a bike.
So there's two ways of doing this. One is we work with this now, or we all agree to try, if we have interest in coming back to the next hearing with what we think would work for us. And that could be fun to listen to. 9 different versions of this, but,
Yeah.
or we push it back on these guys and say, hey, we like it, simplify it, come back, give us something we can work with, or some combination.
Well, if they,
Unless you think we can work through this in the next 15 minutes, because I need to
yeah,
move this meeting.
I don't think we can do that.
Well, no.
That we-
we'd
But
be
if they come back with
I don't
some-
wanna
Okay.
rush it.
If you
If they
give
come
us,
back with something else and we have a hearing, we're saying we can't change the language of that during the hearing?
I'm telling you what we've done in the past, Marty.
Okay.
I am not staff, and I have no staff here with
Yeah, I
me
won't be
tonight.
at staff.
So in the past, at this hearing, the first hearing about zoning amendments,
Yeah.
any zoning amendments that we were going to deal with are here in front of us. And we wordsmith them here tonight. And we get them where we feel good about them. Someone makes the edits, gets in our packet, gets notice to the public, comes back to the next hearing, public can be here again. They can comment or whatever, and we vote yay or nay. It's a yay or nay typically at the next hearing. Yay or nay, we're going to go forward with this
So
amendment.
if we got some nice comments from the public and said, geez, could you change it this, we can't change it?
At the next hearing,
Yeah, at the public hearing, that,
typically we have not.
okay.
I don't think we ever have. I'm saying, I'm being conservative when I say typically. I don't ever think we have.
We've had Dave guiding us and doing most of the
The
work.
Correct.
process was we had these conversations already.
Right.
Dave would then
Then he's
have the
taking-
wordsmithing done.
Right.
Have it go through to make sure.
Okay.
The legalese was all set, and then we'd have the public hearing.
Right.
Okay.
So,
And if you haven't written down all the great things we've said, you can watch the video again.
Okay. Well, again, my opinion is, I'd like a little bit more time to think about this.
yeah.
Yeah, we all.
I don't think anybody came here expecting to change the world tonight.
No.
So I think you've gotten our feedback. Thank you very much for coming. It's a very awesome conversation. Great. You done good, Mom and Dad. Good job. Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for coming. This is definitely stuff we're open to. If you have the time and the inkling, it would be great if you can get something like we've asked for. I know I will work on this myself and bring something to the next hearing myself. I don't know about the rest of the board, but I think other people will probably do that also. And then if you're able to come again, that would be great, but not necessary, but hopefully you'll be here.
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions on that, and you're certainly welcome to hang out while we go through the other stuff if you really want to cure your insomnia. But we need to move this meeting forward.
This was great, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Good stuff.
Glad you went first.
Yeah.
So, I'm just,
Yep.
I was doing a little quick research, and the New Hampshire Municipal Association has a traditional March town meeting calendar for 2026.
Yeah.
Do we usually follow that?
We have to follow, we do.
Okay,
It's-
so
They're just giving you what the law.
we have until January 4th to publish notice for the first hearing of zoning ordinance. And then we have until January 15th to hold the first public hearing on zoning ordinances. So
So have a little bit of
it sounds to me
time.
like if we made
You look
changes
at the
in
calendar?
I
December,
am.
Yeah, we could still.
we could still have a hearing in
Yeah,
January.
yeah.
Okay.
Right now, because of the way our meetings fall, if I have this correct in my calendar, this is it for just for November because of
Yeah.
the holiday, right? And then the next planning board meeting is the 11th.
And that's it in December.
And that's it in December.
Yeah. So we could decide on the language on the 11th. We could have our public hearing on the language in January.
Okay,
It sounds like if I'm-
believe when we got an email, we are scheduled for a public hearing for this conversation on the 11th of December.
Okay.
Okay. But then our next planning board after that is the 8th.
So it falls in there.
Yes.
So we could.
So that means we have the opportunity to do this again
We do.
on the 11th.
Yes, thank you
Okay.
for looking that up. I
Yeah.
can't say anything on my.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody
No,
could
that was
verify it,
great.
I think that would be
Yeah.
great, but that's how I'm understanding this, so, I mean, I would really I think that this is a no-brainer, that we
Yep.
should get something in there, and I'd rather not have to wait a year, so
Yeah.
I agree.
I would like to push it if we can. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worthwhile, and it's definitely simple.
Yeah.
And I think the simpler, the better in terms of probably the biggest challenge, and understand what you're saying about the covered, but that's the biggest challenge. So if you're trying to do it, put some energy into that part of it, because that's the one that is, I mean, a bike rack is kind of pretty straightforward, right? I mean, okay, you have to have
Until you have to
accommodate.
decide where they're gonna be, and no, that's
No.
blocking this. It's not
Yeah,
that
but
easy.
in most of the projects that this would apply to,
Most developers don't care about a bike rack.
huh?
Most developers don't care about a bike rack.
They would throw it out there without even thinking
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
They
But a
use-
structure is a
Is
different.
different.
Yeah.
It is different. Yeah, and you are getting into impervious surface with a structure. So, I mean, that is in the calculation at that point. You have to just remember these things, right? And potentially setbacks and all that. So, you know, it's just, there is a little bit of, I mean, and at the end of the day, you're trying to make a requirement to encourage it to happen, right? So, but there is also a waiver process. So if
Yeah.
it just doesn't work, we do have a waiver process. So if it's really just unreasonable because of the particulars of this project to have a covered bike facility, then you can't do it. That's just what it is. And that's when we grant waivers if necessary, right? Yeah. You can speak.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I really appreciate this conversation.
Yeah.
Thinking about some of our highest value land, thinking our big cities, right? If we can get those developers to include bike facilities where every inch is a premium, when we're talking about development in Exeter, New Hampshire, right, I think that we can kind of push the ball a little further when it comes to including these structures, whether they're detached or included in the original design, like a dedicated bike room, like in the laundry facilities.
Yep.
Right, we can be creative, right, and I know this board is moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time tonight too.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
I'm envisioning even something off the side of the building, just the
Yeah.
cover, and they
Right.
can,
Yeah.
That's sort of what I had envisioned.
yeah.
Well, one of my children was in school in a small city, and they had bike facilities in the student housing and everything else, and he of course had a bike stolen.
Yeah.
Still, person went in the facility, stole his bike, but
You still gotta lock it up when it's indoors.
yeah, you still have to.
Yeah, there's
But it was covered and
Got a
everything,
place
but
to
that's
walk
just
your bike, yeah.
It definitely is doable. It's a matter of the devil in the details a little bit, but
Yeah.
but bearing in mind though, we do have a process here. So, you know, if we get it wrong, we can adjust as we go. I think the concept makes a ton of sense, and it's already loosely there in the mud. We're already headed in that direction. I think expanding that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So, all righty.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, you can.
I just want to thank all of you for hearing me out here and taking the time to read through everything that I wrote. And yeah, it took a little bit of time this weekend, but it's a lot of time for you guys out of your days. And I appreciate you volunteering for everything you do.
All right, so since you're going to do that, so I'm going to have to say, this board is made up of volunteers. And all the boards in this town can use young people getting involved. And
Now he's sorry.
yeah, now you're really going to be sorry, because now you're going to get nominated for something. But, you know, in my regard, I'll tell you, you got to get involved. I think that some of the really troubling things to me that have happened in our society in general with divisive politics consistently, no matter where you stand in the spectrum, very divisive, it is disengaging for people, so it turns people off from getting involved. But things don't happen if you don't get involved. So you guys getting involved is huge. That's really where it happens, because that's what we are. We're just involved citizens too. That's all it is. But it won't change if we don't all work towards that change. And it's really helpful for us to get feedback from the public directly, because none of us was bringing up bikes tonight, and I think it was a great conversation. And I don't mean to, I'm not trying to say the off-street parking wasn't.
Yeah.
I just think that's a really radical concept, and I think it's great, and I like being challenged. But that is one where getting this, less than a week before a hearing, it's a tough one.
But putting this together, and we got
So what board do you want to join?
Actually, your name came up during the Housing Advisory Committee
Yeah,
on Friday morning.
yeah. Maeve's been to one of the last.
I couldn't
Exeter
remember
Strong
where I
Towns
heard your
meeting.
name recently, and it
Yeah,
occurred to me.
and so I've been
Yeah.
going back and forth with her. I sent her these write-ups that
Emmy
I'd
brought
done.
it up too.
Yeah.
But giving us this to read ahead of time was really invaluable. It is, so we could have a meaningful conversation. If you handed us this tonight, it would not have been as robust. Right, so thank you.
Yeah, I did get in a little late. I was working on it over the weekend, and I sent it on Sunday. So, but I was meaning to send it like last week, but
We
got
get,
it in.
I think that runs in the family.
The budget recommendation committee is always looking.
You're
for
doing
people,
better than
and
your dad,
it's
I'm
only
sure.
a few meetings in a year, and it really helps to understand about the grants and the funding and all of that. So
Pot calling the kettle black, John. That's all it is.
Yeah.
having this perspective from people your age, I can't tell you how invaluable it is, so thank you. We don't get a lot of it, and we're hoping for more. So keep up the good work.
And even though you
We'll be
wore,
around.
even
Well-
though you wore a mask, we know who
We'll be in
you
your
are.
ears for sure.
Good.
Thank you.
See ya.
Take care. Good to see you guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.
All righty. So, you guys been working on these amendments, huh?
Yeah.
Be good. Take care.
Good night. Okay. Close this.
That was a good conversation, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I do think in the time that I've been on this board, I don't think we've had, I can't remember one.
What? Had a good conversation.
No, the back and forth and the input and.
Touche.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember a citizen bringing forward a zoning amendment.
Yeah, and wearing
Maybe
a
I'm
mask,
just-
and wearing a mask while he's doing it.
That's why the process is so short, because it's not usually the approach.
Right.
It's usually,
right.
we've had these conversations.
Right.
At the.
That's right.
End of planning board meetings, once the applications were
Right.
done, and then.
Usually comes from within.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're also more familiar with the zoning in general. A lot of it's the minutia of the zoning. So,
By the way, they had some additional information on dimensional setbacks and
Yeah,
so
they
forth
did.
packeted here,
Yeah.
which I think they said, we didn't want to hear anymore. But
Yeah.
we should take a look at this at some
Oh, I
point in
saw
the
that.
future
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
consider it. Okay.
Okay.
so number one, going through these, we'll just do go one at a time, obviously. Draft amends for planning board review and first public hearing. Number one, amend Article 2 definitions by deleting 2.2.3 accessory dwelling units and replacing it with the following definition. So the new one would be, the old one would be deleted, the new one would be 2.2.3 accessory dwelling unit, a residential living unit that is located on a lot containing a single-family dwelling that provides independent living facilities for one or more persons, including provisions for sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation on the same parcel of land as the principal dwelling unit it accompanies, and as delineated in Article 4, Section 4.2, Schedule 1, permitted uses, Note 2. Accessory dwelling units may be constructed at the same time as the principal dwelling unit. 2.2.3.1, attached unit means a unit that is within or physically connected to the principal dwelling unit or completely contained within a pre-existing detached structure. 2.2.3.2, detached unit means a unit that is neither within nor physically connected to the principal dwelling unit nor completely contained within a pre-existing detached structure. Everybody process what that change means?
So, and I think it's
But it-
important to note that number 1 and number 2 are necessary in order to comply with recent state regulation.
Yep.
Do we get into square footage?
It doesn't bring it up in that.
Not in here, but
I
there's
think
some
we
other
do.
place. I mean,
Yeah, you got your
Isn't there something-
updated zoning ordinance, so check it out. 2.2.
I mean, it's got to be smaller, obviously.
Yeah, we definitely we're into it before. I remember
Yeah,
that.
and I.
Two 2.2.3. So what am I looking at here? Alright, so it's like the 4th page in your new handout you just got tonight. Page 2-1 on the bottom. 2.2.43. It's just basically, if you look at 2.2.3, it's deleting that and replacing it as stated. It basically just seems like it defines it. It doesn't get into the square footage, John.
Don't you think it should?
It doesn't now.
Just, I know, a chance to correct it. I always thought that when there was that kind of, I never thought about it much in Exeter, but where I see it in other parts of the country that it was like it could be
Only so big.
half as much
Yeah.
square footage as the main house.
We
or
had that
something.
originally. Did the state get rid of that? Is that why we don't have
That's
it?
what I was trying to, and this just came down to.
I know when we brought them in initially, it definitely had a square footage percentage maximum
Yeah.
based on the primary structure. But I think the state may have gotten rid of that. I'm not
I
sure.
mean, I'm sure there were some people that, well, you know, we had that discussion. There was some land out near River Woods, right? There were, across the street, there was a road.
Yep.
The people were talking, well, I own this land, I was going to build a barn there, or this guy wanted to build a house on his or something. So I think it's been done, but.
So I think essentially the new definition of 2.2.3 accessory dwelling unit is just more descriptive than what we have now.
So just to answer John's question, if you go to section 4.7, there's Schedule 1 notes, which provides more details about size of accessory dwelling units. For example,
What page, Jen?
so it's page, I'm looking at the PDF, so I don't know if it totally, and it's the older one, but it's page 31
Page 30.
in that, and it's section 4.7. It's right after the table
Yeah.
of permitted uses. I
It
guess,
says 750 square feet.
I remember that.
Well, it says in no case shall the accessory dwelling unit be restricted to less than 750.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Is the
and then
maximum?
attached, and then in detached,
Maximum,
it should
yeah.
be limited to a max of 7.
Yeah, it is, John. Yep.
Okay.
It's 4-7, number 2.
All right, is that the RSA that was,
4-7, number 2, right? So that, yeah, that's the note that it's referencing. Permitted uses, note number 2. That the definition references, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting because like under E, it says that the parking spaces shall comply with Article 5-6, but in the proposed language, it says the parking space is 1. So I wonder if that would need to be changed.
It says it right there, amend it. Number 2 is amending it, right?
Amend, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Have
put
to
that
amend
together,
that.
thank you.
Yep. Well, you kind of did.
I did, but I didn't realize, yeah, that it was referencing that. Okay. I'm slow.
what was that RSA again? RSA,
Yeah, so it's a maximum, this doesn't change, it's a maximum of 750 square feet. Look,
If I'm reading this right,
So-
it has to be 750 square feet, because that's the minimum and the maximum, which does not make sense to me.
so, no, it's two different type, are you reading C?
Yes.
So C is, the difference is if it's in the dwelling unit or if it's detached.
Okay.
So the first part, for accessory dwelling units within the principal structure, the accessory dwelling unit shall be limited to less than half of the finished floor area of the principal structure, but in no case shall the accessory dwelling unit be restricted to less than 750 square feet. So that means even if you're in a small dwelling, 1,000 square foot dwelling,
Yeah.
750 square feet of it could be the accessory unit. Well, it means you can add on,
Yeah.
is what you do. So now you
Even
have
if it's more than
1750,
half
but
of the
it's
finished floor area of the
attached
principal structure.
within, not detached, right? For accessory dwelling units located in detached structures, the dwelling unit should be limited to a maximum of 750 square feet. Do you understand that difference?
Yeah?
Okay. We spent a lot of time on that before, I remember. That was a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I do kind of.
Remember that now? Yeah.
Coming.
So that doesn't change though. So
No.
John brought up, was it still there? Yes,
Yeah.
it is there. So I think, are we all comfortable with
I think so.
1 and 2? All right. I'll read number 2 just for the record. So number 2, amend Article 5, Section 5.6.6, off-street parking schedule as follows. Dwelling units, 1 for each single-family unit, and the rest is deleted from that section. And as it states here, amendment number 1 and number 2 are necessary in order to comply with the recent state regulation. So I think we, at least for tonight, are done discussing those 2. We'll move over to number 3, amend Section 9 of the Shoreline Protection Ordinance by adding new paragraph F and renumbering accordingly as follows. 9.3.4, use regulations. F, permitted uses. The following uses, to the extent permitted in the underlying zoning district, shall be permitted in the Shoreline Protection District as specified, provided that the proposed use will not cause increases in surface or groundwater contamination, contribute to soil erosion, or cause a degradation of the shoreland. 1, agriculture, including grazing, hay production, truck gardening, and silage production, provided that the activity does not impact a prime wetlands 100-foot buffer. 2, forestry and tree farming to include the construction of access roads for said purpose, provided that the activity does not impact the prime wetlands 100-foot buffer. 3, wildlife habitat development and management. 4, recreational uses consistent with purpose and intent of this article. 5, conservation area and natural trails. 6, the construction of well water supplies. So that's the proposal, and then staff comment is, this amendment is requested by staff in order to ensure that the shoreline ordinance provides the same level of clarity regarding what is allowed as the wetlands ordinance. I think it's just matching those, right? Any comments on that one?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
just making them.
I'm gonna have to take their word for it that it's
Yeah,
in agreement, but I've heard Kristen mention that they don't match and it's kind of weird and difficult to interpret, so,
It happens, that's why we get to
yeah.
do
I'm sure she's
these
looked at it
tweaks when
carefully.
needed. Or propose them.
all right, so we want to move along? Number 4, amend Article 4, District Regulations 4.2, Schedule 1, permitted uses by changing animal boarding kennels from a permitted use in District C-2, C-3, and CT-1 to a use allowed by special exception. This amendment is requested by staff based on observed conflicts when this use is allowed by right and the property abuts a residential zoning district or residential use. So this one to me is a little bit more troubling. I understand I think this is I don't know specific personally, but I believe this is being generated through conflicts within the town, within
Yes, that's
neighbors.
my understanding.
Yeah. It's a hard one for me, personally, intellectually. In general, I take it very seriously when we take rights away from a property owner. And that's what this is doing. So for me, that's not something I do lightly.
And so what does it mean
But-
to say it would be allowed by special? Does it mean the planning board can allow it, or who?
Correct. Special exception is something you'd have to come, instead of just doing it,
You'd have to come in and ask.
get some dogs, throw up some fences, whatever, right? You'd have to go through a process, and it's not a guaranteed right that you're gonna get it.
Right.
So you come in for that, I just,
Yeah.
not knowing anybody involved,
Yeah.
because I don't. I will be frank, I am a dog lover.
That's fine.
But, so to me, special exceptions are a way to get a right, but they're not a guarantee. But they're also not a zoning variance, okay? So it's not as tough to get as a zoning variance. A zoning variance should be pretty difficult to get. A special exception should not be nearly that difficult, but it's still very different than having the right to do it. So I want you to imagine this scenario in your own world. You're living somewhere, your butter wants to do this. They're in the district now that allows it. They want to do this, they want to get a special exception for it. You're gonna get a notice in the mail about it. You're gonna know that's happening. What is your response gonna be?
I'm gonna.
Yay?
No, I'm gonna come down
They're
here.
gonna
and
have
I'm gonna
dogs
be at
next
the
to me?
Podium. No, I'll be speaking
How many
against
people
it.
you think you're gonna sit there and tell us they want it?
No one,
Exactly. So,
but,
that's my opinion.
okay. Can I ask you to look at it the
Yeah.
other way?
Yes.
The neighbor's perspective.
Sure.
Is this really restricting anybody's rights? Maybe a little, but is it not also protecting the rights of many, many other property owners?
Yeah, you're taking bundles of the stick of rights away from someone. So, I don't know, I guess it's protecting them because they don't have to maybe, I mean, animal boarding and kennels should have to be run a certain way too, right? I mean, I don't know specifically what the town ordinance is in regards to that, but I would expect there's noise, waste management, all that stuff,
There is.
right?
Yes, it did. Do we have one in town?
There's several.
Oh, yeah,
I-
down, well, in Portsmouth, there's a
Portsmouth,
couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one, the
But I
barking
don't think
dog on
there's-
27.
And that's isolated.
Okay,
That's
the other end of
No,
town,
there's
yeah.
houses like right behind that.
Are they really?
What zone is that, though? I bet it's
I
one
don't
of
know
these
which one that
zones.
is. Industrial, it looks like industrial will be the only zone where it's.
Well, yeah, well, I say, what zone is Portsmouth Ave?
It's gotta be one of the
It's one of the
Cs,
Cs,
right?
yeah.
C1 or C,
Yeah,
or
it's one of
C2.
So if you wanted to put this in on Portsmouth Ave, am I right? Does anybody have the map?
Yeah.
It's right here, right?
One in the book, yeah.
Yeah, it's C1 and C2 on Portsmouth Ave, I think. Yeah, C1 and C2.
So you want to put that on Portsmouth Ave, you don't have the right to do it.
That's right. That's what that's saying.
That's what this says.
So what does that mean for existing businesses?
They're approved uses, they're grandfathered.
So what if one of those businesses goes up for sale? I wanna
As long
buy
as it's in
it.
operation for a year, continuously, and it's not vacant for a year, it'll be grandfathered, that use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it discontinues for a year, it goes away.
What
You
if
have
I
a
want to
fire?
make a change to the building that requires?
Then you're non-conforming use with this.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to go through a process.
So the person who owns the business now,
Yep.
all of that investment that they just made in the infrastructure that they may want to sell is worthless.
No. The use can continue with change of ownership.
But,
It's a non-conforming use, but it's a.
yeah, but there's restrictions now because
There would
it's
be,
a non-conforming
there would
use.
be restrictions on expansion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good argument to bring before a board, and a special exception, I believe, is heard at this board. So it's a pretty compelling argument if you wanted to expand that coming here and you were an existing business, but it's taking part of the bundle of sticks away.
I wish the staff that requested this change was here tonight to
Yeah.
explain to us.
That would be useful.
Why it was okay to allow it before and now it's no longer is.
Right. Well, let's look at the zone.
And why they
Let's
want
look a little
that.
closer at the zone, guys. So we have it in front of us, right? We all have the new book. It's
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
So it's C2. Where's C2? Where is it?
Isn't it?
It's Portsmouth Ave, C2.
I'm not.
Is that what it is? God, this is hard to read.
Yeah, it's like Portsmouth Ave up to Stratham.
Okay. I see it now.
And then C3.
E3 is Epping Road.
Okay. Oh, there's also a little C2 on Epping Road.
Yep.
Yep.
And CT1 was the other one?
Can I get yours? Because
Sure.
I am
Yeah.
not finding it
Yeah.
in my book. And, heck, here, I don't want to take it from you.
I mean, CT1 seems to be okay. That's mostly industrial, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like Continental Drive.
Yeah, why would that be a problem?
That would be a good.
Yeah.
CT1, Corporate Technology Park. C3, Epping Road Highway
Epping
Commercial.
Yeah, that's a.
C2, Highway Commercial. So they're all commercial zones. And a kennel is a commercial endeavor. And if you're a residential abutter to a commercial zone, I think that's
You should have looked at the map.
part of what you own, part of the bundle of sticks that you're next to. That's my opinion, and I'm not.
Yeah,
I have no dog in this fight.
No pun intended.
you should have looked at that before you bought the house, right?
But it seems to me we seem to be adding or allowing more residential in C2 and
Oh, yeah.
C3, but we're not in CT1. CT1's almost all industrial. So I don't know why CT1 is included in this. Why wouldn't we?
Is that where it's allowed now, though? Like if we look at our permitted use table, it's probably where it's allowed now.
But why not leave that alone? That's what I'm saying. Why are they
Maybe
including
they
that in this?
just wanted to hit them all.
I don't know. I think we're missing a little information to understand the reasoning behind this.
So if I go to CT1, it's a permitted principal use.
I don't know why we changed that. CT1.
Yeah.
If I go to CT, it's not there. C3, it's there as a permitted principal use. What's the other one? C2?
C2.
Yep, it's on there as well. So what they did is where it is, so I don't think it would be allowed anywhere without a
It's
special
industrial.
exception.
There's the I zone.
Is it an I still?
Yeah, it's still allowed there.
So they left the I alone?
What's the I alone?
But it seems,
Someone's gonna move their
it seems to me there's a difference between CT1 and C2 and C3. Where in CT1, I don't think it's any residential. Or would be.
So Jen, right now, industrial, it's a special exception now in industrial.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's not a permitted principal use, it's a special exception. See that on the table?
So it wouldn't be permitted anywhere.
It's,
yeah, you're right.
it's a special exception in I. So I don't know if there'd be an area that it would just be allowed or not, if we made that change. Or it's always gonna be a special exception.
Sounds to me like it's restricting it to a special exception
I think it is.
across the board.
I think it is. I think that's what it is.
Is that reasonable?
Well, I mean, I don't think it is, but
Well, you let staff know we didn't agree, and they can come and explain why they.
Or at least do a memo explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
Yeah.
We might be missing something.
Because all I heard was just literally that there was a few issues, and that's all I heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And that was a side comment, it was in passing, really, it wasn't.
I had an abutter of mine say to one of my other neighbors that they thought we had a kennel. It's wicked funny. They were on another street, and it was because our young dog was loud. Like, he would get so excited. He was a young lab. He'd get so excited, he'd just bark. When I'd let him come home or when I'd let him out in the morning, he'd be throwing the ball, he'd bring it back, he'd bark, 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 throw the ball, bark, 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 right? And he's like, no, they're great. That's just their dog. And he's way better now, but, it's like, and they had dogs. It's like,
They're the ones that came to a meeting once.
yeah. She was wicked rude. She was so rude, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I said hi, and she was very rude.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know this is public.
Yeah,
I do. I don't care. My wife says that all the time. Shut up.
yeah. Anyway, should we ask for a memo?
Yeah, I think we
On the
should.
reasoning for next
Yeah.
time, so we have a better
Yeah.
understanding.
Or if someone wants to come.
Yeah, I don't think any of us have much to say about it
Yeah.
in terms of changing it, right?
We'd like an explanation.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just want to be
It would be helpful.
sure we understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Number 5, amend the subdivision and site plan review regulations by adding to section 7.5 and 7.6 the requirement to show the location of a mail kiosk as follows. 7.5.16 and 7.6.18, location and description of a mail kiosk is required by and compliant with USPS regulations.
Yep.
Yep.
And that came up recently.
We also,
We
we
knew
obviously
that
agree
this
with
was
that.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have a choice.
This amendment is necessary in order to comply with recent requirements of the U.S. Postal Service. All right, so enough said?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 6, amend the subdivision and site plan review regulations by adding a new paragraph to section 7.2 professional standards as follows. Section 7.2.3 landscape plans, as required, shall be prepared and stamped by a registered professional landscape architect licensed in the state of New Hampshire. This amendment is recommended by the planning board in order to assure that professional standards are being met in applicable cases.
Yes, please.
Are we comfortable with that one?
Yeah.
I have
This
a
one was
question.
my specific
Yeah.
request, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
You like the wording?
I have a question for Jen.
Yeah.
Should there be some is this regardless of the project size? I mean, is there some small project that wouldn't
So
need
it says as required, landscape plans as required. So if your project is so small, or for whatever reason doesn't
Yep.
require a landscape plan, it won't require
Right.
a landscape architect.
So how do they know what the board, or what the definition of small is? It's like,
No, it's not necessarily the size,
Oh.
it's just if there's like other definitions there's other requirements in the subdivision regulations of when you would need a landscape plan. Like, you don't need trees on your project, you don't need a landscape plan. So you would not need the landscape architect stamp, or if it's if it's like a house or a subdivision, you
Okay.
know, it's not gonna need.
okay, I just,
Stamp.
I checked a number of different towns, and some have, you know, only for major site plans or further, and some have the size of the project, and some don't. And I just-
Right.
and I don't feel that strongly one way or the other, but just,
Well, can I say something? I feel like they're coming in, the applicants are coming in, and know that Jen is a professional landscape person, and they're kind of like just letting Jen kind of do that, so they don't have to come prepared with that already, to a point.
yeah, all I'm thinking of, I wouldn't want to be in a position where we're making somebody go out on a very small project and have to hire, you know, a landscape when they really don't need one. And that's all.
Yeah. It's only if it's required.
So, I'm looking at, am I in the right place? Is it page 7-1?
Section. Yeah, hold on.
Because I'm reading section 7.2.3. I'm not seeing section 7.2.3 landscape plans.
It's the subdivision and site plan review regulations, not the zoning. Are you looking in the right?
I don't think I am. I think I'm in the wrong spot.
You're looking at
That's in the part
an open
front.
space,
It's
I mean-
closer. 7, I gotta get there. 7, green space. I'm at 9 still, hold on. Good grief. Okay, 7.2.3.
Isn't that falling in open space?
It falls under plan requirements.
It's called professional standards, and it's on page 33 of the PDF, if that's helpful. 7-1.
7-1. In the old book?
Sorry, I'm on a PDF, so I don't know,
Okay.
like, this is the 2023
Okay.
amendment of the site plan
All right.
and subdivision regulations.
Page 7.3. It's hard. I don't know why these aren't.
So that's the zoning ordinance, so it won't be in there.
Okay.
You guys might not have, I don't know if you have the subdivision regulations in there.
Yeah.
It might be in there.
Hold
I
on.
do.
So my subdivision.
Yeah, this one.
As amended August 2020.
Subdivision
So go to Section
regulations.
7-2.
I'm looking at 2019. That ain't helping, is it?
I found some stuff
23.
that's really out of date. on
Holy
22.
crap.
Right.
What number is it?
Throw this in the trash on the way out.
After March elections, we should
So
bring
we'd
our
be
books
adding-
in and let them update whatever needs.
Is that what this is?
And professional.
But yeah, they should
Look at the
totally
front.
redo our book.
Look at the front. and
Well, it
it'll
says
tell
20
you- that's the
2025.
ordinance, right, because I asked for
What,
them,
what page?
Yeah.
because it's expensive for me to print them out.
Right, of
7.
course.
But,
No, we need updated books every year, and we're not getting that. We definitely need that.
right, I still have stuff with
I
Robin
see.
Tyner's name on it and
Yeah,
other,
right, yeah. No, it's, you need it.
so we just have to have a plan
All right,
after.
so I got the
March
wrong actual binder
Professional
with me.
standards. Well, you
I have 2019. I grabbed the wrong one.
want to read that?
What? Yeah,
Don't take it,
I
though.
won't take it.
I might need that in 5 years.
All right, so
What's the page number on the bottom?
70-1 it says.
Yeah, I know.
So if the landscape plan is not required, you don't need to have a plan.
So you're looking
Correct.
professional standards
All right.
7.2.
Site plan review.
I don't see an issue with it.
Site plan review. Land surveyor
I tried to
license.
write it to match the other two paragraphs as closely in language.
Is as required the same as if required?
Oh, gosh, I have no idea.
No.
I'm not
What
a
is the
lawyer.
meaning of the word
No,
is?
can you say that again?
It was a question. It says as required. Is that meaning if required? I mean, it sounds like it means the same thing.
To me, it does.
Yes. As or if wouldn't matter, as long as.
I think in this case
It's
it's the same.
required in another section, it's required.
All right, so may I make a suggestion, Jen? Mm-hmm. If you look at 7.2.1,
Yeah,
I would add the sentence that says, in specific cases, the board may waive this requirement when deemed appropriate.
okay.
Because then I think it really works, right? You're saying landscape plans, as required, shall be prepared and stamped by a registered professional landscape architect licensed in the state of New Hampshire. Landscape plans as required just reads a little awkward to me. Because just say landscape plans shall be, or say landscape plans if required. I think if required
I
is
think it's-
different.
It's different, but I think, in this case, I think it's the same thing. I mean, if I've got a development, I come in, I sit down with the town planner, he says, this is what's required, and if I have to prepare a landscape plan, this is saying I need to have it stamped.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
It would
If I
be
don't-
upfront.
If the project is so small that I don't have to prepare a landscape plan, then I don't need to
Okay.
get a landscape architect.
All right, and I would just add that one sentence would be
Yeah.
my suggestion.
So where was the sentence with the waiver?
So I would have it read as this. Section 7.2.3, landscape plans as required shall be prepared and stamped by a registered professional landscape architect licensed in the state of New Hampshire. In specific cases, comma, the board may waive this requirement when deemed appropriate. Then I'm really comfortable with it, personally. And that's the same, that reads the
Yes, the same as
same
the other-
as a survey requirement.
Right.
Which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it is good to add it. I think it's a definite, should be
Where are you
added.
seeing the survey requirement? Can be waived?
The one above it.
My version doesn't say that. Maybe we.
We're all looking at versions.
Is this awful?
So if it can be waived, that means if they're gonna
Oh, I see,
have a
okay,
waiver, they're gonna come
Yeah.
without it certified. And then,
They can ask for a waiver and we can say no. No.
right, I was thinking about.
But if it's a small plan,
Yeah.
then we might just say, all right, you're frickin' throwing up 3
It's
boxwoods,
just
whatever,
We're
you
under
know?
time constraints on one, so we'd have to like notice that kind of sooner than later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Did you see it or not?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I think it lines up
Yeah.
pretty well. We
Yeah,
all-
that was kind of the idea, is like.
Right.
Yes.
I think it is exactly what you're trying to do, just gets a little more user-friendly maybe. But I do think I've heard you express concern about it and I've seen you get frustrated with how some applicants are
Yeah.
taking advantage of your professional courtesy.
Thank you, Erin, you said it
Or
better
they're
than I did.
expecting a professional courtesy.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
it-
willing to
not
give
right.
on the
It's good
spot.
that you
Yeah.
share your expertise, but they shouldn't.
But you should be critiquing, not
Not
creating.
creating.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
Unless they want to hire me.
exactly.
You can always invoice them.
Yes.
All right, so I think we're all good with that one then? All right, so I think,
Thank you,
is that it? I think that's it for the amendments. All right, so I guess the only thing on amendments, which is a little bit of a sideways thing, was one of our board members sent an email out that was forwarded to everybody, yes? About the MUND? Yeah? Yes? Everybody got that?
Yes.
I got it.
Huh?
I got it.
No.
I don't think I am.
No?
It was today.
I don't have
It was this afternoon, that's right.
Oh, well, maybe.
Oh, I
Maybe.
wouldn't
I'm
have,
gonna try to pull it up if you,
I can read it.
would you mind?
Yeah. I just had it, and of course now I don't.
Yeah.
But- There you go. Oh, no, I lost it.
You lost it? Okay, I can pull it. I can pull it. You got it? Do you have it? I got it. I can get
I
it.
have it, but it's hard to read on my phone.
I can read it.
Sorry.
I don't mind. Let me just pull it up. Give me one sec. Talk amongst yourself. I'm all verklempt.
That's right there.
I can tell you it came at 2:28 this
Okay,
afternoon.
I will,
That helps.
I will read the email. I think that's the thing to do here. I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
All right, so this was sent to the chair, Lang. Hi, Lang, this is from Gwen English. Hi, Lang, unfortunately, I'll be out of town Wednesday to Friday of this upcoming week. I'll miss the planning board meeting on Thursday. In the agenda, it appears that there will be discussions about zoning amendments, and I'm hoping the board will chat about two things. One, requiring plan set to be signed by a landscape architect, which we just addressed. So I think her and Jen were lockstep on that thought. And two, the MUND exclamation. Given the many issues that arose with the MUND project at 76 Portsmouth Ave and the Haven Lane neighborhood, I feel that our requirements need to be further defined, particularly those that abut residential neighborhoods. Maybe it involves considering height restrictions, etc. I won't go into further detail, but I truly feel we need to look at the MUND requirements more closely before we run into future issues. Haven't looked at my old notes to see if there are any other issues of concern, but if I get a chance, I'll do that. Thank you, Lang. If our paths don't cross before Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful holiday with family and friends. Warmly, Gwen. So, I think we were all forwarded that email at Lang's request, and I got an additional email from staff just saying this. They didn't really know where that was coming from, and now I don't know what that. I respect Gwen deeply, and I think that she's expressing her concern, and I understand. I think where it's coming from. But I also think that's a really big kettle of worms, the MUND. I don't know how we can really effectively discuss that.
That's a whole separate meeting.
I just think
Or
we're really tight on time.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a much more extensive conversation.
I think, similar to like the parking requirements though, it's something we should maybe schedule time during our regular meetings to discuss. Otherwise, it'll be next year at this time and we'll be like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I agree. I think it was a little frustrating going through the past couple of MUND applications and being like, what? Like, we're kind of learning what we wrote and how it was applied. And I don't know if this is where Gwen's frustration is coming from, but that was my frustration. It's like, yeah, maybe we need to think about what this really is saying now that we're seeing the applications come in that are using it. So,
Which is probably more likely to continue.
hopefully, I mean, I think the
Right.
MUND is a great thing.
Right.
I think it just needs
Tweaking.
refinement.
Well, I mean, that would mean almost a work session on the MUND, which I would be in favor of.
Which is
But I
fine.
think we have to figure out time.
I guess it would be great if we could figure this all out and have it ready for this year. But if we can't do that, it's still worthwhile having the discussion as soon as we can.
Yep.
So we're all ready for it next year.
Right.
And even then, throughout the year, as
Right.
things come up, we get a better feel for what we think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because it is an overlay district, so it's trying to not blow up zoning, but actually allow considerations. And I know for me, one of the bigger things for me is that you're supposed to have a walkable commercial element to these projects, basically a mixed-use type of project. And we're not necessarily getting that exactly, I don't think, what we envisioned or what the group envisioned. 'Cause this was done, a lot of the MUND work was done through the Housing Advisory Committee, right? Or
No,
No?
I mean, it was recommended, the concept was recommended, but we don't get into the zoning.
You don't get into the weeds like that?
No, we don't. We get into recommendations if we talk more about whether it should be 10% or 20%.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of us felt 20% and
Yeah.
then were convinced to start with 10. To see if it would be utilized that way, but we didn't get into where or.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we had several, I think it was originally drafted by the town planner, and then we had several workshops where we went through it. and
Right.
Talked about some of the details
Yeah.
before it went onto the warrant, similar to what we did tonight.
Yes.
But I think just like, we were sort of working in a, without really seeing how it might be.
Sure.
And so now that we've seen that.
Yeah, you learn stuff as you go along.
Yeah, I think, I don't think we can get it
Adjust
on
it.
this year's, like, it's definitely too much.
Yeah.
But
It would be a very useful discussion.
I would love
For
to
this
have,
board to
yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
I would love to
Yeah.
have
I
schedule
think if
workshop.
something's
And I think-
fine-tuned.
I think it would be super helpful to have our planning staff kind of guide us through that
Yeah.
process, rather than us trying to figure it out on our own.
Yeah.
Or if, like, she's not available, like our, I don't know if we can, just have somebody sort of like in the know.
Well,
available.
Doug Eastman would be
Yeah.
helpful,
Yeah,
because he's the one that gets these applications at some point, right? And issues building permits and occupancy permits, and Doug's very knowledgeable.
He's been here forever.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, and I would guarantee he's had extensive conversations with Dave Sharples about this.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So maybe we try to get it on the agenda as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Have part of our meeting be a workshop on it, or just revisit the MUND, essentially,
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone get their concerns out on the
Right.
table and.
Yeah, and that also
Figure it
is
out.
public, so it gets notified, so people who, in the public who have concerns would have the opportunity to get in front of us at a hearing too. I know, for me personally, probably the most challenging approvals I've seen have been on, this is just me talking, but similar stuff is when we rezoned 27 to get development going, which has been great. And all the projects that have gone in there have had serious variances, use variances, which I know could be argued as rezoning, actually. When you go from a commercial district to 200-plus residential units with zero commercial element in it, that's rezoning. So I know I'm not popular for saying that. I know I've made enemies by saying that within the town, but I try to speak what I think is true. And that stuff concerns me, because I think also what happened on that road was that taxpayers put in water and sewer for the property owners with the understanding that the commercial district was going to benefit from that and expand. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I have not seen much commercial being built on 27. I've seen a lot of residential being built on 27. And I'm not saying I have an issue with it, but it's not what it's zoned for. So my thing is rezone it if that's what we want. If we want residential in that area of town, it should have been presented to the public that way, number one, when they were going after taxpayer dollars to develop that land, that roadway, and it also should be zoned for the use that's getting approved by our zoning board. Because by the time it comes to us, they have a variance for hundreds of units. That's not our issue at that point. It's approved for that use by a variance. And that, you guys, not everybody was here for that, but that is what happened. So, I don't know, when you talk about zoning amendments, maybe rezoning that road at some point should be discussed, because that's my feeling. If that's what people want, we should know it. When they've been asked if that's what they want, townspeople voted against it. And that's the record. So, that's the stuff to me when you talk about MUND and reviewing certain things. I mean, we also should be considering our actual zoning itself. The bigger picture.
Yeah, I feel like we started down a path,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Of doing that like 2 years ago.
We did. We
And-
definitely did.
That process unfortunately got,
Side railed.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's a big deal. The actual zones, the district,
Yeah.
really, that we apply everything to, are the bigger picture that impacts things. And I know, I also would tell you, I I feel that the people that abut the project that Gwen was referencing in her email, if they had known that rezoning, because that was rezoned, that property was rezoned by town vote. And if they knew that that use would have been allowed there, I don't think any of them would have, I think they would have gone in droves against that.
Yeah.
So I think we got to be careful with that stuff because unintended consequences, I think, at least for some people that were probably voting, right?
And zoning is complicated.
It
And
is.
so unfortunately, it's like we're putting this on the warrant, and I don't think people understand
Right.
what they're voting for
Right.
and what it means for them. So I feel like there's almost like a public education piece that we
Yeah.
should be doing
Yeah.
when we're putting these things on the warrant.
Especially when it's not the little wording minutia stuff.
The little warning stuff,
Yeah.
fine. Like that's,
Right.
I think most people can
The MUN's a pretty big
sense
deal.
that. But like the MUND was a big deal. I don't think we did enough to really publicize what it was.
Sure.
And, yeah, and then if we did end up doing this, and I think that might be part of the reason why it got sidelined, because it was just like, wow, this is like a huge change. And it was hard to understand what it meant. And then Mr. Sharples did all those like public education sessions for us, which
He was doing a
really
great
helpful.
job.
He was
Yeah.
doing a great job with that. But unfortunately, it just kind of petered out.
Right.
And
I think he just ran out of time. I
Yeah.
think he had a lot more things that kept getting added to his plate, and he had to reprioritize.
Yeah.
Because he was really excited about the educational part and had plans after he was done with our educational part for the public. He was going to work with Exeter TV to take,
I remember that, yeah, it was so exciting.
he was given a lot more things to work on, and, you know, can only have so many balls in the air. I think he kept wanting to get back to it, but, you know.
Yeah, I in no way was like dissing.
No, I know you weren't.
The effort
I
put
know.
into that, 'cause it was
I just,
amazing.
because we all know how excited he was
Yeah.
about that project, and I'm hoping we'll get back to it too.
I hope so, yeah, it was
Yeah.
good work.
Yeah.
I hope it can continue.
So I think what we'll do is discuss getting a further MUN discussion on the agenda and request that staff, someone from staff participate in that with us. I think that is probably makes a lot of
And
sense.
plan to have enough time to have a good
Yeah,
discussion.
right.
Well, a few times. I don't know about
Yeah.
anyone else, but sometimes when I'm
Yeah.
hearing new ideas, I really like to think about them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then come back to it. So-
Yeah, exactly. Like have a half hour. I think you get too long sometimes. We all do, right? So
You get-
half hour, 45 minutes, maybe most an hour on that.
Yeah.
Then move on to our other stuff.
Yep.
And then revisit it. Just like you're talking about the education piece, going back and doing that, I think should be ongoing almost if we have the time.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to go back to our agenda and master plan discussion. Anybody want to talk about the master plan? Either you two gentlemen? No?
Well, just that we've been meeting monthly, and
Yeah.
we got another meeting on December 4th.
Yeah.
And
You still
in the morning.
with us?
Yep. And we're working on the complete streets specifically.
Yeah.
And I think, did you say the master plan's getting redone in a couple of years? Or?
I'm so sorry. I meant to look at my CIP book before I came to this meeting, and I didn't. And
That's
I
okay.
can't find it online. It is in the CIP book, but I think it's for 2027.
Okay.
But again, things get deferred.
Yeah,
And
right,
this
true.
has been an unusually difficult year for the budget
Yeah.
process, so I don't want to commit that
Sure.
it's in 2027, but it is coming up because we haven't done it since 2018.
Yeah. Well, the
So-
good thing is we've been active on it, so that's the
Very
good thing.
active, and
Yeah, it
we're
hasn't just sat on the
also
shelf.
looking for if there's grants available.
Right.
If there's any funding available.
Right.
Something might get pushed up or pushed back, or, so. Unfortunately, nothing is set for a time frame. We have to be flexible.
All right, so the land use regulation review, obviously, we did our stuff on that. Field modifications, there's no one here to talk to us about that. Bond and letter reductions, there's no one to talk about that. So unless anybody has anything else they want to bring up at this late hour,
Other than happy Thanksgiving to everyone and everyone watching, and I will motion to adjourn.
done. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanks.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
This was
We had a good year. We had a good board.
Thank
I'm
you
glad
for
we had.
tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk